Number 5 in our series on sprinting biomechanics is a 1985 paper by Mero and Komi, two giants in the world of sprinting biomechanics, titled Effects of Supermaximal Velocity on Biomechanical Variables in Sprinting. This will be a fairly short video. I don't have a lot to say about this paper, not because it's not an interesting paper. I think this is a super interesting paper. This was a paper where they got individuals to run at supramaximal velocities, as you might glean from the title. So getting an individual to run at a speed that exceeds their maximum sprinting speed. And how exactly did they do that? It's indicated down here in figure 1. They did it by towing the individual. And so here on the left is the participant in the study, and then they were attached by an elastic cable here to another individual who was faster than them. And so they were being towed along by the tension in the cable here by this faster individual, giving them a horizontal propulsive force that they of course wouldn't normally have. So the interesting element here is now, while we're running at a speed that exceeds our maximum sprinting speed, what would we do biomechanically, or what do we do biomechanically there that's different from our maximum sprinting speed? Or what do we do mechanically here to exceed our normal maximum sprinting speed? Now, of course, they have this little extra force here that's towing them along that they didn't have to generate on their own, that if they were on their own, they'd have to find some way of generating. But what else do they do biomechanically, assuming we could find some way within ourselves of somehow generating that force or training up to generating that force? In terms of the amount of force provided, it was, I think they mentioned in here, in the neighborhood of like 30 to 40 newtons or so, which for an average size adult male would be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5-ish% of your body weight, maybe a little less. And so not a huge force. It's not like they were applying hundreds of pounds of force to tow them along here, but a small force here, increasing the maximum sprinting capabilities of the individual, and examining what they did biomechanically to run at that speed. So perhaps informing, if I was going to increase my maximum sprinting speed, what mechanically would I have to accomplish to do that, at least within the confines of this experimental paradigm. And I should add, this is actually a fairly normal way to train like real sprinters. I wouldn't say it's a super common thing, but it's not an unusual approach for actual sprinters to include something like this in their training in some circles in sprinting, at least. So how successful was this? It was quite successful, and you can see here from the abstract, in the supramaximal condition, the individuals increased their sprinting speed by almost 9%, which is a very big increase in sprinting. They did it by increasing stride rate, or stride frequency, by a little bit under 2%, 1.7%, and increasing stride length by almost 7%. Okay, so most of our increases in sprinting speed up above the normal maximum sprinting speed coming from an increase in stride length. So I think this result here supports the idea from the Weyand et al. Study that we read a little bit ago on how faster top sprinting speeds are achieved by generating greater vertical forces against the ground when our feet are on the ground, not by cycling the legs faster. If we were doing this mostly by cycling the legs faster, we'd see probably most of the increase in speed here coming from an increase in stride frequency rather than stride length, and that's not what we saw. Other bit here that supports the notion that speed is limited primarily in the vertical direction, even though we're being assisted here by towing in the horizontal direction, is if you look at table 2 here of some of the data from the study. They have some timing information here in terms of various events in the gait cycle and some more details down here. If you back out the actual numbers for the duration of ground contact, which you can see right here, you can see they decreased the duration of ground contact from 0.102 seconds down to 0.096 seconds. So and that's the time of I believe when both feet are in the ground. So cut those in half to inform how long each foot was actually on the ground and generating ground reaction forces. So at your normal maximum sprinting speed, your feet would be on the ground for what's half of 0.102, about 0.056 seconds. And at the supermaximal speed, your feet would be on the ground for 0.096 seconds for both of them combined. So what's half of that? 0.096. I should be able to do that in my head, but I can't. It's early. So 0.048 seconds. Okay, so let's convert that to milliseconds. Make those by 1,000. Okay, so at my normal maximum speed, these folks are on average spending 56 milliseconds per step with each foot on the ground. At the super maximal speed, that decreased to 48 milliseconds. Is that a lot? Yes, that's quite a bit. That's a decrease of 8 milliseconds per step, which is 14% of the original duration of ground contact. So they were but to run faster at the super maximal speed, they were decreasing their duration of ground contact per step by 14%, which is substantial. They would have to then generate their vertical forces large enough to support their body weight in 14% less time, which is a substantial challenge. And evidently they, with the assistance of the towing force here, they were able to do that. So that's it for this one. Like I said, this will be a short summary here. So a short but interesting study on what biomechanically people did to exceed their maximum sprinting speed. Again, remember this has the caveat of a cable that's towing them along and helping them out there. But assuming they were able to provide that extra towing force, what would they do then with the rest of their body and the rest of the tasks of sprinting to run as fast as possible? Looks to me like most of the results here are in line with the way end at all idea that we then would need to generate greater vertical forces in a shorter amount of time to offset gravity and stay upright in order to run at those fast speeds. So if you're trying to coach somebody to run at a faster speed, seems like it might be a good idea to focus on training them to put a lot of force into the ground and to get a lot of vertical force developed quickly to support your body weight as fast as you can, which is actually a fairly common cue that is given to a lot of sprinters when you're trying to train up your speed. Okay, that is it for now.